This is a demonstration of our prototype for StepWise for math word problems using the power method of schema-based instruction. The avatar in the lower right is Ketu the fox, and you can click on her and she'll give you AI-generated hints about what to do next. So the first thing we do after reading the problem is pull apart the knowns and unknowns. And then we can click the green check, and StepWise will evaluate whether our choices were correct. If not, the student can click Ketu and get a sequence of progressively more specific hints. But we've done fine here in pulling apart the problem. The second thing that the student is asked to do is select from amongst 6 different schemas to pick the one that's suitable for solving this word problem. In this case, the total schema is the appropriate choice. If we'd picked a different schema, Ketu would have told us that that was wrong and guided us to pick the correct schema. Once I've clicked on a schema to select it, I then move on to the O phase of power to organize the data to solve the problem. And we do that by dragging our knowns and unknowns into a table, and there's a different table associated with each of the 6 schemas. That creates an equation that we can use to solve the problem. So we fill in our table, click the green check, StepWise evaluates whether we've filled out the table correctly. If we haven't, the student will be guided to a better way to fill it out. The third phase is the W phase for work the problem. And this phase uses the traditional StepWise virtual tutor UI, where students enter their steps to solve the equation one at a time. And after they enter each step, they can submit their step. StepWise will evaluate it, tell them immediately whether their step is correct or not. And if it's not correct, the student can click Ketu and get a sequence of progressively more specific hints for how to solve the word problem. In this case, I'm going to make a mistake. Instead of entering 14 as the value, I'm going to enter 12 here so that you can see an example of what happens if a student makes an error. So after I submit a step, it's evaluated by StepWise, and then I can go on to the next step. So here I'll enter 14 as the value for P2. And then I change my mind and correct that to 12, which is wrong. So I'll submit that for evaluation by StepWise. And then I'm told that that step's not correct. I get the red X instead of the green check. So I'll click Ketu, and StepWise will give me a very general hint. And then if I still can't solve the problem based on a general hint, I can click a second time and get a progressively more refined hint. And if I keep going this way of clicking to ask for hints, I'm eventually told what to enter as my next good step. So it tells me to enter 14, which I do, and that should allow me to finish up. Once we've solved the equation, I move on to the E phase, where I have to explain my answer. And that means converting the math back into a sentence that answers the question. So I want to say 14 nickels is the right answer. And if I don't get that right, when I submit it, I can ask for hints from Ketu, and StepWise will give me hints for how to correct what I've entered. But in this case, I've entered it correctly. So I'll move on to the R phase, the final power step, which is for reflect. And here I'm given a sample justification, and I'm asked whether it's a good justification or not. And in this case, it was. So thanks for looking at this demo of StepWise for math word problems. Thanks a lot.